What is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be giving you 10 tips to becoming a programmer in 1 month. Yes, it can be done. Your boy here has done it, alhamdulillah, and I'm going to give you some of the tips that I used to get it done in just a single month, so stay tuned. Number one is the mindset. It is very important. I can't stress how important it is for you to make sure you have the correct mindset going into this. Remaining positive. Any sort of negative thoughts will set you back. So you need to make sure that your mindset is on point. You need to work on that. It doesn't happen overnight, but the more you do it, the better you get at it, the better your mindset becomes. Removing all the negative thoughts, replacing them with positive thoughts. And if you're thinking that's easier said than done, I'll tell you how to do it. When you get a negative thought, just become aware of it. Once you're aware of it, try to refocus and change that thought from negative to a positive, or replace it with a positive thought. And then repeat that process. Every time you get a negative thought, become aware of it, change it, or replace it, and move forward. The more you do it, the irregular your negative thoughts will become. And that is the way to achieve a great mindset. Another way to improve your mindset is to work on your physical state and your spiritual state. Working on these two will get you a long way as well. They say that necessity is the mother of invention, and there's a reason why they say that. I myself wasn't able to do this except because I was in a situation where things were a bit sticky and I needed to get out of them, and my only option was to go through this, or to force myself to learn this. And so you need to understand that if this is not something you really need, then you might struggle to get to it. So you need to put yourself in a position where this is something you really need or want, right? When the need for something is essential, you are forced to find ways to make it happen. When the need for something is essential, you are forced to find different ways to make it happen, or to get that thing that you're running after. So having that need or want, that desire to get it, will get you a long way. So make sure that this is something that becomes a necessity to you. And that way, you will find ways to make it happen. Even at the times where it becomes very difficult or you don't see a way forward, you will find ways to make it happen. Number two is envision your goal. Make sure that you have a goal that you've set and you understand that this is the end goal, and you have to take certain steps to get to that goal, and you will only focus on step one to begin with. And once you've done with step one, then you move on to step two. But understand that that is your final goal, and have it in mind so that you can envision it, and this will allow you to excel. I'll take myself as an example. I had a goal of working remotely when I first started. I was thinking, wow, this is something I can do from the beach. And that motivated me to keep going at times when it might have been difficult. I had a certain situation as well that caused me to be motivated. But ultimately, knowing that I'm going to be able to work from the beach one day, or I have the option to work from the beach, only helped me. So envision your goal, set out what it is you're looking to do, and then take the necessary steps to get there. Number three is the environment. Making sure that you have an environment that will enable you to do what it is you do best. An environment that will facilitate your learning. An environment that will allow you to focus for a certain period of time a day on the goals that you're trying to achieve, right? So, and again, I use myself as an example. I had a room and I had a TV that I was using when I was learning to program, and every so often or every day I would set out some time, whether it was in the morning or nighttime or during the day. I would sit down, I would have a look at my work, I'd get on with it, and I wouldn't be distracted. I might take breaks to go to eat or just to do other things, but the main thing was that I knew this place right here was for me to reach my goal. And every time I stepped into that space, I knew that this was an opportunity for me to get closer to that goal. So make sure you have a little environment, whether it's a room, whether it's a house, whatever it can be, even a little corner in the room just take that corner and use that as something to propel you forward. Number 4 is finding a tutor or a mentor that can guide you through this learning process. Now, keep in mind that this is not compulsory, it's not a must, but it would be a nice to have. I know a lot of people can't afford to get a mentor or a tutor, which is fine. I personally didn't have a mentor or tutor. I did this alone pretty much, but if you can afford it, then it will save you some time. You can have a mentor on the side, so that you can ask them questions when you need to. If you have things that you're struggling with, you can reach out to them and they'll be able to help you. Now, keep in mind, this is not a must, like I said, and I keep repeating myself, but I don't want you to think that you need to get a mentor to get this done. You don't. You can get this done on your own, but having a mentor just makes it a little bit easier for you. And this takes me nicely on to my next point, number 5, which is to follow a structured guide. So when I say a structured guide, I mean something like a course, a book that you read, or a tutorial that you follow. Personally, I read a book which covered HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and MySQL. And it was fairly structured. It taught you different languages at different stages of the book. And at the end of it, it combined all of them. And we built, I built, because the guy in the book is also building with us, or he's demonstrating what he's already done. So what we built in the end was a social networking website, something like Facebook, but a mini version of that. So that gave me a good understanding of all the different parts that are involved in a website, and how to save data, for example, to be able to post, to be able to comment on these posts, add friends, all of this stuff, which was quite valuable, to be honest. So just having that one book, it was about 800 pages, and I'm going to share a link in the description. If you want to get that book, just drop your details and you'll get an email with that PDF file. So number 6, ask Google. Always ask Google. If you're not sure, who do we ask? We ask Google. Why? I mean, I don't recommend you ask Google everything, but when it comes to programming, you should definitely ask Google, because the problems that you face are problems that others have already faced. And so they have already had to find answers to these problems. And usually, more than not, people have shared their answers or their solutions with the world. So you can find them on sites like Stack Overflow through Google. And there's also other websites like W3 Schools that I found very useful when I was learning, but it's mainly Stack Overflow and different variations of Stack Overflow as well, where you'll find answers to the questions that you run into or problems that you find. Keep in mind that Google is your best friend, because you will run into problems inevitably, and when you do so, you want to be able to solve them as quick as possible, because it could be very time consuming trying to solve these little problems to get to the bigger picture. So, and Googling is actually a skill, which is the next point, point number 7. Being able to Google and get the information that you're looking for in the least amount of time is actually a skill that is part of every developer's life, and that is a fact. I've never yet seen a developer who is capable of being a software developer or a software engineer or programmer and he doesn't Google. It's just part of the game, as they say. It's just part of the game. Being able to find solutions to problems is a big part of being a programmer. So at the start, you might be afraid of problems, you might not be good at solving them, but with time, I promise you, you'll get better at it. Just stick to it. When I first started, I would, for a single problem, I remember just trying to Google something, and it would be quite a struggle to actually find results that could help me, or results related to my problem. So I would try different combinations of words. It didn't really make sense. But now, in comparison, I only need to write like 3 words, as opposed to back then when I would need to write like 16 words to try to explain one thing. But that was the start, right? I didn't know much. I was trying to figure my way around it, and I didn't have any mentors or tutors, etc. I was just reading a book and trying to make sense of it as much as I could. So with time, I found that I'm able to articulate the problems that I had a lot better into Google, and because of that I was able to get better responses, and the time that I would spend looking for a solution to a problem was significantly decreased because I was able to word them better. So that comes with practice. You don't need to worry about when you start, but just keep in mind that there's nothing to be ashamed of when you're asking Google, because it's just part of it. So whenever you have a problem, who do we ask first? That's right, we ask Google. Now, the last thing I will say with that, there's a correlation between becoming better at Google and becoming better as a developer. They go hand in hand. It's just the way it is. Now, moving on to number 8. Number 8 is to learn and practice daily. I remember when I was doing this, because of the situation that I was in, I was doing this day and night. I would wake up, get on it, stay up all night, get on it, go back to sleep for a bit, wake up, get back on it. I would take a day or two off here and there, but from what I remember, I was doing it most of the day, at least 7-8 hours a day. Now, I'm not expecting you to do 7-8 hours a day, but if you look through your day, you'll see hours and time that you've spent or time that is wasted, and I'm sure you can try to allocate the time that's wasted on learning. So you can at least pull half an hour a day, an hour a day, 2 hours a day that you can set aside just for this task of achieving your goal. And the more hours you put into this, the quicker you will reach your goal. So make sure that you set some time out, whether it's in the morning, whether it's at night, whenever you're focused and free. Usually the best timings are in the morning or when you first wake up. So if you wake up at night, then that is the best time for you, because when you wake up, your mind is fresh, you're able to absorb things. And what I have noticed over the years of doing this is the more you stay in front of the screen, the more you try to absorb things, the longer that goes on, the less you become focused, right? Because you've been on the screen for so long, now you're making silly mistakes that you don't even realize you're making because you've been sitting on the screen for 5 hours. So take breaks. Whenever you have a problem, take a break, come back to it with a fresh mind, and you'll be able to see things a lot clearer. So keep that in mind and try to delegate a specific time of the day where you can practice your skill daily. And even if it's 5 minutes, I've told so many people previously who are trying to do this and they're struggling to find time because they're working a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6 and they just can't make the time for it. Or some people are working night shifts and they just can't fit it in. I'm telling them, just do 5 minutes a day. That's it. Just do 5 minutes. If you're serious about this, just do 5 minutes a day, and they still struggle to do it. Why? Because they don't actually want it. If they really wanted it, they would put 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Do you understand how little 5 minutes is? Come on, man. You spend more time in the toilet than 5 minutes, I hope. Number 8 is dedication. Now, this might seem like an obvious one, but it's one that you need to keep in the back of your mind, because you will have people in your life who will try to put you off what you're trying to learn because maybe they can't do it or they don't think you can do it, but what they think is irrelevant completely. It's about what you do and what you think. So stay dedicated, keep that vision of your goal in mind. Keep that vision of your goal in mind. Keep that vision of your goal in mind and stay dedicated to the task. And with time, you will see that you will get closer. The progress will be your momentum. So keep progressing, even if it's 5 minutes a day, keep progressing, and that progress will push you forward and it will give you a momentum that will push you even further forward. And by the end of it, you're going to reach your goal. So disregard the comments, the negative comments from people around you. I had these comments myself as well from friends that were close to me apparently, and it's all right, it happens, but it's how you deal with it, right? I myself didn't care about what people thought, so I just went on with it because I could see the value in that thing that I was trying to achieve, and I had progress at that time, so I knew that I was picking up a skill and I could see the results of that skill, right? Because when you're programming, you can actually see instant feedback of what it is you built, and so that gives you some sort of momentum, some sort of satisfaction to continue. And because of that, I was able to disregard what they're saying, also because I didn't really care. But being able to see results from the work that you've done, it gives you a push, it gives you some sort of encouragement to continue. So make sure you remain dedicated, and that will help you a lot. Number 10, and this is post learning. So once you've completed your learning, this is the final step, which is to start creating personal projects. Now, depending on the route that you've taken, whether you've chosen to do a course, whether you've chosen to read a book, whether you've chosen to watch tutorials, one of these routes, or whichever route you've taken, they should have really showed you a project. They should have run through a project with you where they demonstrated how to build this project, how to create X, Y, and Z, how to put X, Y, and Z together, and that was your first personal project. But beyond that, you need to start creating your own projects, right? So you need to come up with ideas, and maybe you're watching this and you already have an idea of what you want to build, right? You've got an idea of something that you want to bring into the world that doesn't currently exist, whether it's a game, whether it's an app that can benefit people, anything. Just make sure that you try to execute these plans that you have, these ideas that you have, try to give life to them, try to work on these projects. And it's funny because the most you'll learn is usually when you try to work on these projects, because each project is different, and every project comes with its own set of problems, and each set of problem teaches you a set of things. So the more problems you go through, the more you learn, weirdly enough. So if you're struggling with ideas, I can recommend a app on Android. I'm not too sure if they have it on iOS, but you can definitely check. On Android, I literally wanted some ideas when I was doing this as well. So I would just type in the Play Store, programming ideas, and there's or project ideas. I can't remember what I searched for. But anyway, the app is called Programming Ideas. I think they have 1 and 2. But the idea of this app is to give you an insight into different programs that you can build. So they've got a list of categories that you can go through, and each category has tons of ideas that you can try and build. It sets out a description of the project, and all you need to do is try to implement the different features within that project, and it's all laid out nicely for you, and that should give you enough ideas really, or it should spark some of your ideas to come to life as well. If you want inspiration for other ideas, you can check a website called Product Hunt, and they usually have they have projects or products that are up and coming. It's a community where people are posting the latest projects there, and they're also commenting and sharing their views and thoughts on each project, so you can take inspiration from there as well. But regardless of the matter, the point is you need to work on some personal projects, and this will be something that you're going to add to your CV, right? You're going to be able to boast about these personal projects that you've worked on. If you're looking to get hired, this is something that you need to keep in mind, and you need to make sure that you create projects, work on some personal projects, at least 2 or 3 projects that you can put up as links or on your profile, you know. So work on a few projects, at least 2 or 3, create a portfolio with these projects, and that will make it easier for you to either become a freelancer or to land jobs, you know, because usually jobs will either give you a test that you'll need to complete, or they will ask for projects that you've done. So a sample of your work is what they will ask for. Usually it's a test, but just in case, you know, it's good to have projects. And also the benefits that you reap out of creating these projects is immense, right? Like we said, the more projects you do, the more knowledge you build, because you will be running into more problems you run into, the bigger your knowledge base is. That's just a fact. So that's it. Those are your 10 tips. Those are your 10 tips to becoming a programmer in just a single month. And believe it or not, you can do it. I believe in you, and you believe in yourself too. You maybe just don't know it yet, but you believe in yourself and you can do it. So I would say start today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. Even if you're spending 2 minutes today, do something today, because if you leave it to tomorrow, that day might not come and you may never start. So make your intentions clear. Start today. Even if it's preparing the course or the tutorials or the book that you're going to be using from tomorrow, but do something today. Maybe set out your environment and prepare it, but start from today. With that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. That's all I have for you today. If you're interested in knowing more about the journey that I took and how I learned how to program in a month, then I'm going to leave it. If it's not there, then that's probably because the video is not out yet, but subscribe and hit that notification bell and you'll get notified when that video is out. Also, you'll find a link in the description to get that PDF file, the book that I learned from. And yeah, I'll see you next time.